All right, we are back with Citizens Part 2. The part where we actually talk about the song. Last time we did a lot of context, a lot of like what's going on in our country, what's going on in our own personal lives, what was going on in the country when the song was written. So yeah, we're talking about Jon Guerra, Citizens, on YouTube. This is Part 2. On podcast, I'm pausing between my words so that I can edit me saying the on YouTube parts. Because this is just going to be one thing on the podcast.
Gotcha. Yeah. And it's important for songs like this. They're written in particular people, particular contexts, and a particular time in history in a person's life. And so, yeah, where this is rooted, I think all that's important. Similar to Scripture. Scripture is rooted in a particular context and people right into a situation. This song was the same. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I didn't know I was unmuted. I was like, oh crap, I got to find my way back to the thing so I can unmute. No. All right, anyway. So as we are about to get into the song, yeah, if you're on YouTube, go back and watch part 1 for some of the context. I think is probably helpful.
Very.
Especially when we talk about how we're going to be doing the liturgy stuff. All right, but I'm going to play verse 1 of the song. I am using 4 different videos to play different verses from this. So I think verse 1 is just the regular recording with lyrics on the screen. And we're going to play verse 1. We're going to talk about it. And then afterwards, we'll get into some of that liturgical stuff that we mentioned earlier in the pod. Yeah. All right. Let's see if I can do this well. Probably not, but we're going to try. Haha! Is it recording now?
I have a heart full of questions, quieting all my suggestions. What is the meaning of Christian in this American life? I'm feeling awfully foolish, spending my life on a message. I look around and I wonder ever if I heard it right. Coming to you.
My mouse kept like circling around the exit window. Yeah, so that's verse 1 coming in strong. You know, at first I was iffy because for some reason when I hear even like Christians I respect, especially if they're like more educational people, you know, scholarly people, they're like, oh yeah, this music guy. I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then I started the song and I was like, I got through verse 1 and had to restart the first time I listened because I was like, oh, this is gonna be actually meaningful, you know. What about you? I feel like you listened to it a little bit more recently. How did verse 1 first hit you?
Yeah, I like the contemplative nature of the song. I think the pace and the vibe of the actual music fits with the lyrics and the questions that he's asking. You know, if it was like screamo metal, I might be like, what? If it was like rap hip hop, if it was like really disco-y, I'd be like, what are we talking about? But I think I like the music connected with the lyrics, and he's got a good voice. So I like the style. I'm like you. I don't listen to a lot of Christian music on the radio or I do hymns on Sunday, and then I have regular quote unquote secular music that I do in the world in certain bands and stuff. But so this was nice to reflect on. And the first thing, what is the meaning of Christian? I was like, man, yeah, what a deep question that we should ask every single day. If you identify as Christian, then what does it mean to be that in the world? And there is so much entangled with that word and so much baggage, but man, it's a question we should reflect on and look in the mirror and ask every morning when we wake up and splash our face, remember our baptism.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to do this, but I like every line of this, especially verse 1, I think really starts strong. What is the meaning of Christian in this American life? You know, our theology is always contextualized, whether we acknowledge it or not, right? Like, you just can't help it. And in the world where, like, I'm looking around and seeing all these people saying that they're Christian and what they're doing, and I'm like, well, I want to say I'm Christian because I like this Jesus guy in the Bible, but man, I don't want to identify with this group of people, man. Yeah. And then, you know, I've got a heart full of questions. You know, when I first hear that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I resonate with that. And it's like quieting my suggestions. And then I have to reflect on, like, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I do that too, where I'm like, okay, well, these people aren't really Christian. And then immediately I'm like, well, what does it actually mean to be Christian? And I'm like, okay, well, Jesus would have done this, and I'm, like I keep having all these thoughts of like what I think it should be or what could be and all this stuff, and immediately it's just all the questions because like we just live in a world where I'm like, no, actually, it's not right to say that's not Christian because people who are identifying that, like when they're looking at our religion saying, well, Christians do this, they're not wrong. So I'm like, man. And then even in the end, like I'm feeling foolish spending my life on a message, wondering if I ever heard it right. I'm like, yeah. To me, I dedicated my whole life and I was part of that conservative Christian group, right? And I went to their colleges, learned all their stuff. And now I read the Bible for fun. Before a long time, I was reading it every month because I thought I had to, and I really dedicated myself to this. And I'm like, okay, we're going to tell people about God and Jesus. We're going to do stuff according to the Bible. And then, the people who told me that that was what my entire life's mission should be about are supporting a sex predator for president, are being hateful to their neighbors, are cursing out people in the streets, are causing violence in the White House. And I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling awfully foolish. Yeah.
I'm with you. And then, it's like when people ask me, do you believe in God? I'm like, well, what God are you talking about? Are you a Christian? Well, what kind of Christian are you talking about? There's a lot of if I just say, yeah, there's a lot of assumptions or suggestions made. And I don't want them to hear the message of what their preconceived notions are or stereotypes are be. So there's more questions behind the question than do you believe in God? Do you claim to be a Christian? Who do you believe this Jesus got to be? There's a lot of messages flying around. A lot of them I don't agree with. So there's other questions. I like it that Jesus answered questions with questions because he wanted to get behind what the original question being asked and go deeper. And I feel like I need to do that when people ask me what seems to be a clear-cut answer, yes or no. No, it's a little more nuanced. We need more context there.
Yeah. Well, and even that I struggle with because I would like to just say, well, I don't believe in the God that you're talking about, or I'm not that kind of Christian. And I think I can say that somewhat honestly. But I do get a problem when we do some of this and act like, oh, those other people aren't Christians or your concerns about God aren't legit. Because, yeah, there's a history that if I'm going to call myself Christian, I got to wrestle with that history. If I say I believe in God, I can't just wave it away and go, oh, I don't mean that God. I still have to wrestle with, well, why don't I mean that God? So I don't want to just say those are bad questions either, or those concerns you have about Christianity and God are wrong because I'm not that kind of Christian. I don't believe that kind of God. They're still legit concerns. I don't know. I just feel like I can't just wave it away, but I also can't identify with that either.
Yeah. At camp this past week, I had a God question box. And so students could write questions and put them in there, and then we'd read them and try to answer them. And we kind of joked, Pastor Allie and I were taking turns to answer the questions, and I'd hand her a question, and they're not yes or no answers, but she would go, short answer, yes. Long answer, and then point to me. I'm like, oh, okay. And then when I had a question, I'd be short answer, no. Long answer, point to Allie, go for it. And so it's like you feel like there's more behind it. It's not just yes or no, and it's complicated. It's hard. And Jesus operated that way too. And these start off right off strong. Have a heart full of questions. You have permission to ask questions. And what does it mean to be Christian? And then, am I right? Am I wrong? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the I'm feeling foolish thing. Like I just feel like so many people are in the same boat as me, and maybe in a more intense way. Where it makes you feel foolish when you grew up buying this whole thing of like we don't support Democrats because Clinton was sexually promiscuous, and then you see what's happening. You're like, well, man, I feel dumb for believing that stuff that you told me because you clearly don't believe it. Or we do what the Bible says no matter what. Okay, so that means helping our neighbor and feeding the hungry. Oh, no, that's woke. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of people in the boat with me who can listen to this song and go, yeah, I was a youth pastor once, or I did this once. And we go to the LGBT camp. We have a lot of people who used to be employed by the church. And it's almost like we end up, now we do disagree with the church, but a lot of us didn't leave because of our disagreements. We left because we believed what they told us. Yeah. And it turns out they didn't believe it. Yeah. Well, do you want to go ahead and jump to our verse section here, and then we'll do verse 2 after that.
Okay. Here's the next lines that we're going to go back and forth for. Coming to you because I'm confused.
Coming to you because I feel used.
Coming to weep while I'm waiting. Tell me you don't wait. Tell me you won't make me go.
I need to know there is justice. That this is both of us.
Okay.
I need to know there's justice. That it will roll in abundance. And that you're building a city where we arrive as immigrants. And you call us citizens. And you welcome us as children home. Yeah, it might have been a little choppy, but that's how it works. That's how it goes.
That's how liturgy works sometimes. It's not supposed to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's the work of the people.
Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at what verse 2 looks like. If I can remember which one of these are verse 2. Okay, yeah, they're in order from here. Cool. All right, verse 2 of Citizens with Jon Guerra.
You were alone and rejected, misunderstood and detested. You gave it all, didn't hold back. You even gave up your life. How can we call ourselves Christians, saying that love is a tension between the call of the cross and between the old party line?
All right.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah. You want to lead us in this part?
Yeah, I like it that he asked the question of, am I hearing this message right? I call myself Christian. What does that mean? And then he goes to the source material, Jesus himself, and examines him in the Gospels and how he postured himself in the world. And he's seen what it means to be Christian from Christ himself. And so he's like, yeah, you are alone and rejected. You experienced these same feelings that I did. You were misunderstood. You gave up your life. You went to the cross. People question how you loved people. Wait, yeah, we're supposed to love people, but not that way, not that person, not that group. What do you mean you're going to change our system and threaten how we do things? We've not done it that way before. Wait a minute. And so the old party line is being challenged by the Christ. And so I love how he comes back around, and he's not just throwing a question out there. He goes back to the source material and examines it for himself. He goes searching. He goes on a journey and finds some answers.
Yeah. This might be a weird connection. And also, I don't know if this band is like bad or if they should be canceled from one side or the other. I don't know anything about the band. I just know I used to like the song a lot. King's Kaleidoscope has a song called "It's Just a Prayer," and it was right after the lead singer's, I think his son killed himself is what it was. And man, the reason it got me is it was the first time I think I heard a Christian song with swear words in it. And I'll censor it for this, but he's singing to God, and he's asking, he's like, if I fall or if I misstep, if I call you with my last breath, are you going to be there for me after? And he says, I'm wasting in the silence because my fear is effing violent. And like near the end, he's like, Jesus, where are you? And it gets to this part where Jesus is responding in the song. It's like, I'm right beside you. I feel what you feel. And that's what I'm getting out of this, is this moment of like, yeah, maybe the fear is effing violent. I'm trying to keep this from being explicit because I want as many people to hear as possible. But sometimes the fear, because, it's real. And yeah, Jesus felt it too. He was alone and rejected. I think that's what the song said, right? Yeah. Alone and rejected. Misunderstood, detested, gave it all. I think that's one of the key ones too, is like he gave it all. Like it wasn't like, I think a lot of times we think of Jesus as really mild-mannered and stuff because of like some of those cheesy Jesus videos. I'm like, no, this dude was like, sometimes he was mild-mannered and chill, and sometimes he was like angry about like what people were doing in the temple, selling it out, and sometimes he was like, hey, I'm gonna be a sword between father and son, and sometimes he was like, guys, just love each other. Like, what are you doing? Jesus wasn't a one-dimensional character either.
Yeah, when he gave it all, they even cast lots for his clothes. So, like, he didn't own property. He didn't own a lot. He had friends, and he had supporters. He had backers. He crowdsourced his movement. But then, in terms of what he literally owned, he gave it all, even the shirt off his back. They cast lots and gambled for.
Yeah, and he's the king of nonviolent resistance, even into the point of death. And that's where I love that he brings this, like who Jesus was. And then he goes, how can we call ourselves Christians? saying that love is a tension between the call of the cross and between the old party line. And for Americans, it's funny because like he doesn't say Republicans. He doesn't like he's not calling it by name. But I don't think anyone in America today hears that line and doesn't know what he means.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I had a one of the questions in our God question box from our teenagers at camp last week. One of them was like, "Is it okay to skip a Jesus TikTok video?" Like you just scroll. So their question was, do I need to watch every single Jesus TikTok? And I'm like, well, it depends on what they're trying to portray. If they're portraying Jesus right or not, or they're parodying him or whatever, no, you can skip it. If someone's not portraying who Jesus is, then skip it. Scroll on past. You don't need to pay attention or waste your energy on it. So I love that. Is it a sin to go past a Jesus TikTok video? Well, it depends. It depends.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they're not representing him that well anyway, but yeah. Also, maybe Jesus doesn't need clingy people. He might be fine. I think he'll be okay.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm ready to go on to the next stuff because I'm excited for what's coming up. Do you have anything else you want to cover with this, or?
Yeah.
All right, then let's get into our verse reading. Coming to you for the mothers who are all running for cover.
There is a flood from their weeping. Tell me you won't make them go.
I need to know
there's
justice, that it will roll in abundance, and that you're building a city where we arrive as immigrants, and you call us citizens, and you welcome us as children home.
Yeah, we did a little better there. Look at there.
Yeah.
I love the beginning. The first question was, tell me you won't make me go. And then this verse is, tell me you won't make them go.
Yeah.
So he's identifying in solidarity with those around him, not just himself.
Yeah, and I think it intentionally kind of shifts our focus throughout the song. Yeah. But, all right, let's look at verse 3. I believe this is verse 3. And see what we got next.
There is a man with a family. He has a wife and a baby. He broke the law just to save them, working for $3 an hour. Truly you said we were equal. Everyone's heart is deceitful. Everyone born is illegal. And love is the law of the land.
All right. Oh, and that one line confused me at first.
Which one?
I want to say that the end was like, everyone born is illegal when love is the law of the land. I'm like, why wouldn't everybody be legal? We just let everybody in. And then I thought about it more, and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, God, if I believe this Jesus story, he didn't say, well, everybody's a God now. He says, I'm going to become man. And that's what love looks like. I'm going to come to you. I'm going to suffer with you. There isn't sinners out there. It's sinners like me. It's not, hey, these people are illegal. It's, well, if they're illegal, I am too.
If love is the law of the land. Yeah, if love is the law of the land, then I'm going to see everyone in solidarity. Yeah. Everyone's going to be on the same playing field. We're all illegal together.
Skipping to the end of the verse, but that was the one that confused me at first. That now I'm like, oh.
I like the move and the movement of the song from me personally looking inward. Then I look outward to Jesus, the source material, and then I look outward beyond that to the person and my neighbor around me and seeing how the Jesus story. I'm using the Jesus story as the lens by which I view other people, not just the party line that's been given to me. I'm going to examine Jesus, and that's the frame. That's the hermeneutic. That's the lens of where I see the other out there, of the wife, the husband, those working for lower their minimum wage. Everyone's heart is deceitful, but I look through it through the lens of Christ. I'm going to see things in a new way. Yeah.
Well, even looking at it through the lens of Jesus, it's interesting because, I can see if we ignore that, there's layers to this. I can just read, there's a man with a family, he has a wife and a baby, and he broke the law just to save them. And I can empathize with, that's a man who wants to save his kids. But if I'm also looking through it with the lens of Jesus, and we're like, he shouldn't have broke the law. Hey guys, Jesus broke the law. In fact, a lot of Pharisees and Sadducees were pretty mad at him for it.
That's probably what got
And then the Romans killed him eventually. Jesus broke the law. So we go through this, Jesus is our story, and then we go this, and I'm like, Yeah, it's hard to follow that up with, oh, he shouldn't have broke the law after we just talked about Jesus breaking the law. Right? Like, I don't know. That's difficult. Yeah. Oh, man. Anything else stand out for you here? Or how's this move you? Especially in our context. We talked a lot about Trump and everything now. I mean.
Yeah, it's just, of course, there's, I saw a meme being passed away of like, love your neighbor. Who is our neighbor? And then Jesus goes, probably one that think that you're probably the person you think that's not your neighbor or whatever. Like, it's kind of like, the one that you're seeing.
Whoever you didn't want me to say that.
Yeah. Whoever you didn't want me to say, that's it. So I think that we're all fault of that, whether it's me looking at people who didn't vote the way I did or don't see the world as I do. It's convicting, it's this song is prophetic in a way that it holds up to mirror to me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It is so frustrating because I know people like this who's breaking the law just to live. And I know people who say these terrible things about them. And it is just crazy to realize, like, I've been on both sides of this argument at this point. Mm-hmm. And it's also challenging for me being more progressive now than I used to be. I still don't know if I would call myself progressive, and just seeing other people who do identify as progressive and how little love there is for those who don't see things the way some of us do. And it's like, man, that's challenging too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. You can go ahead and do this verse, the next chorus bit here.
Yeah. Let me just say the chorus we all say together is repetitive, and that's if it's going to be the main theme or the red thread through this thing. I think time to look at that as well and really take that to heart and think, not just say it or sing it, but look at the intentional words. But yeah, let's do the liturgy. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to review the chorus at the end. Let me mention that like earlier, but earlier for us was like hours ago. A little bit different. Okay. I'm trying to remember which one are we at? Okay. I see. Coming to you for the hungry, eating the scraps of this country.
Didn't you swear you would feed them? Tell me you won't make them go.
I need to know there is justice, that it will roll in abundance, and that you're building a city where we arrive as immigrants, and you call us citizens, and you welcome us as children home. All right, let's try to do verse 4. And verse 5 isn't like a full verse, I feel like, so that'll be a little bit different here at the end too.
There is a wolf who is ranting. All of the sheep, they are clapping, promising power and protection, claiming the Christ who was killed by a common consensus. Everyone's screaming Barabbas.
Well, I guess it's just going to make us watch a commercial. That was like in the middle of a song. What terrible time.
The algorithms don't know.
Yeah. Should we try to listen again?
Yeah, I think so. It's really powerful.
I want to find a different version. I'm doing this other video now, though, because I already closed the other window. All right. Oh, we're still recording. I thought I paused it. My bad, YouTube viewers. Okay, here we go.
I'm a sucker for strings.
There's a wolf who is ranting. All of the sheep, they're clapping, promising power and protection, claiming the Christ who was killed by a common consensus. Everyone's screaming Barabbas, trading their God for a hero, forfeiting heaven for Rome.
Man, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Good even feels like a weird word to say here. It's a challenging one.
Powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah. 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 What do you want to say anything about this before we jump in to like what first?
No, you mean it was written in 2020, when President people, who did vote for Trump and feel like there's justification for that, maybe have turned us off long before they get to this part. But, really a wolf that is ranting and their sheep are clapping, this predatory nature of leaders who are really commodifying faith, who are leading blind sheep their way to really get in, power and privilege, all those things, and insert your least favorite politician with wolf, right? But for me, I know who that represents, that, and who that icon is for me at this present age. But I guess there's debate and talking about, I don't think it's helpful in the dialogue or the debate or the conversation say, well, but your guy did this. Well, you're like, it's a competition of who's worse and make a list. I think we need to look at the overall systems in place that prey upon the sheep, or who the consensus is that say, we choose Barabbas, we choose Herod, we choose Lex Luthor rather than Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it's just hard not to think of Donald Trump in this, and what's going on with Alligator Alcatraz, and what's going on with people who are getting deported, and the Epstein files, and all the 5 million things he's doing to hurt people in our country. Going back to COVID, this 2020, people were clapping for him as he was causing people to not wear a mask and literally dying because of him. So many deaths because of one man. It's just, I don't know. For me, it's hard not to think of him.
And yeah, January 6th too. They chose Barabbas, who started a riot.
Yeah.
Rather than.
Yeah, it's ironic this song was written before January 6th, because this feels like a description of January 6th almost.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because that would have been the following year, I guess. Man, yeah, I didn't think about that. But even without it being Donald Trump, which it is about that, I think. And if not, it's just, I don't think you can be a Christian in America today, understand the Bible, see what's going on in the world, and not see that. But the whole thing here, the first half, there's a wolf who's ranting, all the sheep are clapping, promising power and protection, claiming Christ who was killed. Maybe he just watched Star Wars and was like, oh yeah, this is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. But, I'm thinking, it doesn't have to be Trump. Democrats do something similar. I haven't seen it to the same degree, but like, we're promising power and protection, claiming Jesus. That's most of our politicians. Or no, I'm going to protect your group, people who are like you, that are going to be protected, and you're going to be in charge now, and that's going to mean that this will happen, and everything will be great in our country, because now you have the power, and you have the protection, and that's what Jesus would have wanted. Politicians do that on both sides.
Yeah.
That's what they do, and people fall for it. They clap because, oh, I want the power, I want that protection. And that's just never what Jesus was about, was getting more power and protecting our people. It was about sacrificing, giving up, helping others, empowering others.
Yeah, right around the assassination attempt on Trump, I remember somebody on our systematic ecology account, chimed in and on my own said, like, really? You believe, like, that God, or made a comment like God destined him saved his life. And I was like, do you really believe that? What about the other people who died? That was bad theology. And I was, hopped in there. What I thought was a good question. He's like, nope, I think God saved his life because he's going to save our country. And I'm like, from what? What are you saving it from? What are you saving it for? I was just like, there's more questions I have. It's one thing to say, he's going to save our country. From what? For who? Who does he look out for? Who do you think he really cares about? All those questions are there.
Yeah. And I think it's a little bit weird, this comparison, and maybe you'll help me unpack a little bit, but it's immediately comparing it to people screaming Barabbas, choosing to let Jesus die, because like that situation wasn't them choosing some hero and protection over Jesus. They were choosing Barabbas, who was a criminal. Maybe they thought it would just appease the Romans if they let Jesus die. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something with that part of the comparison.
Barabbas helped start a riot. He was a zealot. So, if they're choosing someone who's like a rebel against their oppressor, we'd rather have this guy who represents outright rebellion and violence against our oppressor rather than some rabbi who's preaching peace or about
nonviolence,
or nonviolence, or flipping over tables in the temple and talking about systemic change rather than, what's going on with Rome. So,
okay, that is interesting.
I don't know what Barabbas's name means. We could look it up, but I think, instead of choosing a criminal, but a criminal in whose eyes, Trump is saying, "Oh, Obama's a criminal. Arrest him because he blah blah blah." It's just a distracting thing at the moment. But yeah, we can say you're a criminal. That guy's a criminal. From whose eyes? Whose laws they breaking? They're breaking Roman law. They're breaking Jewish law.
Yeah. Man, that's interesting. I think that would be an interesting, if that's what we're juxtaposing. That's actually really challenging too, because it's not saying the people who are for the wolf are the problem, the sole problem. It's the people choosing violence against their oppressors, whether that is someone promising protection from the last government because we don't like Democrats in office or Republicans in office or who was before, or, whatever. The choice is, are we choosing people who are physically fighting on the political realm, or are we choosing this nonviolent method of resistance that just cares about the other, the one, instead of the flock? Yeah. Man. And then forfeiting heaven for Rome. I was like, oh, that's good. Just a good line. I'm like, no, I could almost get that tattooed on me.
Forfeit. Oh.
Man. Yeah. All right. You want to do this last part of the chorus before we do the final little verse thing here?
Pressure's on. On. All right, here we go. Coming to you because I'm hungry.
Let's try again.
Coming to you because I'm hungry. Or angry. Sorry. Coming to you. I'll try again. Take 3. See how it's all your pressure.
That's funny.
Coming to you because I'm angry.
Coming to you because I'm guilty.
Coming to you because you've promised to leave the flock for the one.
I need to know there is justice. That it will roll in abundance. And that you're building a city where we arrive as immigrants. And you call us citizens. And you welcome us as children home. That one was pretty good. I feel like.
There are a couple takes in there for me.
Yeah.
I've only been in past 25 years.
Yeah. All right. Now let's see if I can figure out where the last verse is on here. This is not... Oh, I'm hitting the wrong button. All right. Here we go. It's probably not actually a verse, but prelude, maybe? Prelude?
Refrain.
Yeah.
Is there a way to love always, living in enemy hallways? I don't know my foes from my friends. I don't know my friends anymore. Power has several prizes. Handcuffs can come in all sizes. Love has a million disguises. But winning is simply not one.
Man. Heavy end. For heavy song. Heavy end. And I love that it doesn't go to the chorus again. That it's drops. Winning is not one.
Oof.
Done. Oh, yeah.
Again,
that one's rough, man.
Jesus math. Yeah, that's powerful. And I love the bridge. And it just ends. It's a mic drop. It leaves you sitting with it. And yeah, well done. Well done.
Yeah. I just whew. Yeah. Sorry. It really is. It's so challenging. Is there a way to love always, living in enemy hallways? And I mean, I don't think no matter what side of the political spectrum you are on, if you're a red state or blue state, you're a red state, you might be surrounded by people who are hating the immigrants or filled with bigotry or, whatever. And you're like, oh man, is there a way to love always living in this? Maybe you're in a blue state and you're like, man, people just, they don't care about, what other stuff, children, family values, something like that. And you're like, man, I live in this world, and how do I be a Christian living in enemy hallways? How do I love always? Yeah, I don't know. And I like that he doesn't answer it, because sometimes we just need something that feels what we're feeling So we know that we're not alone, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that whole I don't know my friends anymore. After this last election, Trump 2.0, people were going like, wow, is this really a reason to, um, not be friends anymore? And I was just honest on somebody's post. It's like, look, dude, like if we're arguing about how much money NASA should get, I don't think that's going to break up our friendship. But if you're all openly supporting a guy who condemns or others or doesn't like a whole group of friends that I care about, then I'm going to question my friendship with you. If you don't care about my friends, if there's one of my friends who doesn't like 10 of my friends, then I'm going to question whether that person is a friend to me and to my other friends. So of course I'm going to question my loyalties, and we're seeing that in some of our families as well, not just friends, but families. And, it's causing more polarization through that. But I think that's a decent question and realization. I don't think I know my friends anymore. I have to reevaluate, reorient, and rethink who my friends really are if they support this dude or system.
Yeah. Well, I've been running a church unity podcast for many years now. And it is one of those where it's like, man, sometimes it's, I thought we were all working together for the same purpose of loving Jesus. And sometimes I'm not sure about that. And even sometimes I'm like, I'm not sure how many of these people who say their churches are actually care about doing the right thing. I mentioned that church earlier with what's going on with the sex scandals there in Greenville. And so many pastors and stuff were at the January 6th riot. There were pastors rioting against the Capitol, causing violence, like literal violence. Yeah. People I thought that were, good Christian, I know my whole life, are supporting someone who's a sex predator, likely a pedophile, seeming more and more all the time. Who still finding excuses for this guy to swear and just dehumanize others, even getting away from the Donald Trump stuff. I mean, so many Christians are talking about how, people who voted conservative at all, I just don't think any of them can be a Christian, and we shouldn't have to show them love or be decent humans to them. And I'm like, there's a difference to me in saying I don't want to associate with someone who thinks it's okay to support that guy, and saying I'm going to dehumanize these people because they supported someone who dehumanized those people. Then you're just perpetuating the problem. And I'm seeing that everywhere too. Mm-hmm. And it's, 100%. I don't know my friends anymore. And then those last 3 lines, or I guess 3.5, 4 lines. Power has several prizes. Handcuffs come in all sizes. Love has a million disguises, but winning is simply not one. That last one, I think I get, because that's just right up my utilitarian thing. Is like, love isn't, hey, what has the best outcome? When do I win? How do I get power? How do I make sure my people are protected? Yeah, that's not love. That's self-serving. But power has several prizes, all that stuff.
Nowhere you find in the Gospels where Jesus is saying him or her with the most toys wins. Go grab whatever you want. Winning is at all costs. In fact, he inverts that. He flips it. It's the last will be first, the first will be last. In fact, he's like, if you're a loser, there you go. Read the Beatitudes. Read the Sermon on the Mount, and think about in terms of how Jesus postures himself and who he thinks the winners and losers are.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. Jesus never says fights for your rights. The closest you get is him telling you to fight for others. Maybe he wants you to fight for their rights. I don't think he cares so much about you fighting for your rights. Yeah. In fact, for those who don't know or don't think about it often, Jesus lived in a world where Romans were really coming down hard on the Jewish people in Israel. Their religious liberty was at stake. One thing, that we like to talk about a lot in America is religious liberty, your right to believe what you want. And not once did Jesus show up and say, fight for your right to believe. Nope. That's just not something he seemed to care that much about.
Yeah, I think there's a little story about a soldier getting his ear cut off, and Jesus like, put your swords away.
Yeah, which is my favorite part of that story that everybody seems to ignore. This is one of my pet peeves when pastors talk about this story and ignore, why did Peter have the sword? Jesus had him pick the sword up. Jesus intentionally had his disciples pick up swords so that they could choose to defend themselves, just to show that it was a choice not to defend themselves. It's like, we're going to have weapons just to show that we're not going to use them. Because just fun. Sorry. I'm just a Bible geek. Sometimes I'm like, I love the Bible. It's so good.
It is.
Good story. Yeah. But yeah, the chorus, we never went over chorus. I did that intentionally because I wanted to get through these verses and looking at like the stories that he's telling through the song. But this chorus is a need to, well, we talked about part of it, but the part that we haven't really spoke about, that we've been quoting this whole time and affirming together, I need to know there's justice, that it will roll in abundance, that you're building a city where we arrive as immigrants, you call us citizens, and you welcome us as children home. Will, what are your reflections on that?
Well, I think I think of Amos, the prophet Amos, let justice roll down. And that's definitely what he's alluding to. There's a prophetic word here, as we talked about at the beginning, the context of this. And again, prophecy, prophetic word isn't necessarily fortune telling or saying that Russia's going to invade America in the last times and we are raptured. That's not it. It is holding up a mirror and speaking to our present context with God's word and calling us to be God's people and to change and to revealing the systems in place that are undermining or commodifying God. And so I think here, let justice roll down. It'll roll in. It will roll in abundance. There's a statement of faith there. I need to know that there is justice, that it will roll in abundance. Like, help me know this, that there's not just nihilism, that the person with the most toys and powers wins, that there is justice at the end of the day. Help me understand you're building a city that doesn't look like the one that is being envisioned by those in power.
Yeah. It's thinking about that justice in context of each verse too. And like at first it's like, I feel confused. All these people, they told me this is what the message was. And now I'm like, did I ever hear it right? I need to know there's justice. This family, these people, mothers who are crying for their children, father who's trying to just do something for his family, and he has to break the law to do it. I need to know there's justice. Yeah. These people are, the sheep are cheering on the wolf. I need to know there's justice. And it's just one of those like, oh, yeah, man, that word justice it can mean a lot of things. Doesn't always mean punishment, right? Sometimes, in this case, we're looking at that restorative justice, and we're like, man, what does it mean for those sheep who are cheering on the wolf? What does it mean for them to have justice? What does it mean for that dad who's breaking the law just because he wants to support his family? What does justice actually look like? Yeah.
It's similar, like words matter. And so people, before you go into some deep discussions about God and love and Jesus and Christianity and church and science, you need to define some terms and have some common ground of what you mean by when you say those words. And the justice is another one of those words. You can't just throw it out there and assume that everybody knows what that means. And so I think there is room to ask, what does justice mean? What does it look like? Is it punitive? Is it restorative? Is it revenge based? Is it to bring wholeness to the world? Is it God's justice? Is it man's justice? I think all that there's room, but it is hard to have civil conversations when a whole group or a side of people dehumanize a whole other side, and that goes for either side. And I think we can have discussions, we can have debates. I loved it. Like, what was so crazy and revealing about this last election is when the two vice president candidates got on there and they talked like normal human beings. Like, wow, look at this. There's actually human beings that are talking to each other. I'm like, yes, we can have that. Why are we doing this the other way? Why are you backing the guy who doesn't operate that way? I don't care if JD Vance is a means to an end that maybe one day he could do next time or whatever. I don't care. He's selling out to somebody else. And so, we could have better. We've had better. How do we do this next is a big lingering question. Where do we go from here?
Yeah. And it is easy to pick on one side now because they're following Donald Trump and he is just such a clearly evil man. And I'm not going to do whataboutism. I think that is the worst side. But I will say for a long time, part of the reason people are supporting him is because they were treated as, these rednecks. And you even hear in like young culture today, it's like, oh, that guy's so Republican. And they just mean by like what he looks like. That's all they're talking about. And belittling it. It's like, I can't do that. That's like Republican. And like, you talk down to people like that all the time. And guess what? They're going to lash out. And sometimes it looks scary and terrifying. And it's probably because the people you lashed out on against were scared and terrified.
Yeah.
They thought they were losing their way of life. And that's scary. So I don't think justice necessarily looks like punishing everybody, but yeah. Even the last part, the part of, and again, I mentioned earlier, my eschatology, I'm not sure that afterlife stuff I'm iffy about. I'm hopeful, but I'm iffy about it. It's not the most important thing to me, so I just don't feel too solid about it. But I think if we remember that we are now the body of Christ, supposedly building the kingdom of heaven right now, that part of like you're building a city where we arrive as immigrants, you call us citizens, and you welcome us as children home, kind of has a dual meaning. And that's crazy, right? Like, are we seeing the people who?
Well, yeah, that's the chorus. The citizens is the name of the song. So it's like, what does it mean to be a citizen, a good citizen?
We call them citizen when they arrive as immigrants, just as we think, whether you believe in an afterlife or not. The story is we come to God as people who don't necessarily belong, who maybe have fallen away, or if you believe they're born in sin, cool. If not, I think everybody has sinned. I know the things I've done. And when I come to God, I'm not coming to him as someone who's been righteous all the time, who is the Son of God. I'm coming to him as maybe a little bit of a foreigner to God's ways. And I'm thankful that every day he seems to look at me and go, as an immigrant, he looks at me and says, I'm going to call you a citizen. And he welcomes me back as a child, no matter how many times I mess up and all the other stupid stuff I do where maybe I go away from God's ways. And are we building that city on earth that's like that? I don't know. The other thing this makes me think of is it's ironic because yesterday we talked about my mom's dad, Papa, on a podcast we did for Systematic Ecology. Today I'm going to talk about Peppa, my dad's dad. and it's really that whole side of the family is what this chorus really makes me think of. And that's why the one time I just started crying listening to this, because I think about my grandpa on his side, on that side, lived out in the middle of Kentucky. So my mom's side from the Appalachians, other side from the hills of Kentucky. And somehow I did not turn out how you might expect, but it's fine. But he's, the hills of Kentucky, all this stuff. And I would just keep bringing friends when we came for the summer or Christmas or whatever, who maybe didn't have other places to go. And, my friend Shama, I had friends who were queer. I brought friends who were of different ethnicities. I brought friends who were different genders, all kinds of stuff. And my grandpa didn't care. He loved all of them. And the funniest part to me about him is he would call and ask about them. He'd send them letters, even if he just met them once, up till the day he died. And it's so funny because, even people that I thought for a long time were actually related to me, they weren't. He just called them family anyway. We just had so many people that are just so close-knit. And it's because anyone he met, he was like, okay, well, we're family now, and that's cool.
Yeah. And found family, discovered family.
Yeah. And that's the image I see with this of are we building a city where I don't necessarily care what gender, race, ethnicity, sexuality you're coming to with me on. I'm just welcoming you as a family, as a child. Or are we trying to other and say who belongs, who doesn't belong? And what kind of game are we playing here? And the idea of whether you believe there's this real heaven out there or, shout out to my more, OrtCon kind of friends. Maybe you think that after we pass, we just become part of the divine consciousness. My grandpa would be part of that. And that's this, are we building that city where we are welcoming everybody as children coming home? I don't know. Any final thoughts, Will?
I mean, you said that well good. I don't want to add on to that. That's good. Coming home.
Yeah.
If we're coming home to God and that's our destiny, and that's where God is drawing us in with God's gravitational pull of grace and love and mercy, then and how are we contributing to that, what that home looks like here and now, not just way off in the distance. It matters. What we do now matters. Your matter matters, Joshua.
I like that. Your matter matters. Yeah. And just be welcoming. I think that's probably the main thrust of the song. Is just be welcoming, be loving. It doesn't have to be about, we don't have to stop arguing with each other. We don't have to stop any of this other stuff. Just welcome people in. I feel like it's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then. With that, we'll go ahead and start wrapping this up. I mentioned, I think I am going to soon do a pirate music episode and just talk about pirate music or songs about pirates and probably have fun with that. I don't know what else might be in the works. As we mentioned, the show doesn't really have a plan or schedule anything like that, really. It just kind of happens.
Hey, I'm
So-
going to a concert tonight with Hannah. We're going to see Cyndi Lauper from the 80s. Girls just want to have fun, Joshua. Girls just want
Yeah.
to. I might get on here
Yeah.
and talk about that. You know, she did a song for Goonies. She did all kinds of stuff. I'm ready. Maybe I'll do a Cyndi Lauper podcast.
I'm trying to remember what was the Weird Al version. Girls just want to have lunch. That's what it was. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
There you
maybe,
go.
Maybe she'll do that cover.
Squirrels just want to have fun. You know?
But anyway, guys, yeah. So we don't know what's planned. If you guys want to host an episode, let us know. Anyone can host. It's not just the elite. Anybody can host an episode. If you guys want to do an episode of Some Joyful Noises, emails in the description. Let us know. We would love to host an episode of you talking about your favorite music. Also, remember, rate, review, share this wherever you can. Subscribe, because we don't know when episodes release. There is no schedule. So if you don't subscribe, you won't know, because we don't know when episodes come out. And we hope you all can just join us as we continue to find more music to sing along to, maybe do liturgy with, and just to continue making some joyful noises together. Till next time.
Yeah.
Yeah.